So super excited to see you today. We are covering a special topic today referred to as restless leg syndrome. And restless leg syndrome is also referred to as Willis-Ekbom disease. Very, very common in a lot of individuals, and a lot of physicians medicate for it. But I'm here to share with you some clinical studies that prove that you don't have to medicate in order to feel relief from restless leg syndrome. We are going live right now between Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you can give me some thumbs up that you can hear everything okay. As you can see, I'm in my gym here at Kinetic Solutions in Indiana, and we've got individuals that are exercising at the same time as me broadcasting this live so that you can see what some of my own clients are doing for their restless leg syndrome as they suffer as well. But anyhow, excited to visit with all of you today, and always excited to see who's here and where you're listening in from, wherever that might be in the world, because I know we have some people that listen from Canada, some people listen from different countries in Europe, and as well as here throughout the United States. So as you are tuning in, just give me an idea of where you're listening from, and if you do have restless leg syndrome, let me know that so I can direct my attention to you specifically. Because again, if you've never experienced restless leg syndrome, it is not a pleasant sensation. And if we have listeners here that are interested and you have restless leg syndrome, maybe you've already tried some of the things we're going to talk about, then I want to be able to talk to you directly as to maybe some different things you can try. So make sure and respond in the comment box of whichever platform you're listening to. And that way I can direct my expertise and my knowledge to you specifically if what we are offering you has not worked yet, or your medication is not working for you, or you don't want to take medication. Anyhow, I have had a history of restless leg syndrome dating back to 2005. I was in a very bad car accident and suffered 8 spinal injuries, head trauma, and fibromyalgia, which is an autoimmune disease, and a tremendous amount of stress and a lot of medication. And so, not being able to walk for a little while, it took me a little over 2 years to walk normal again. And so, in all of that, it definitely opens up the opportunity to have empathy for many people who are suffering that you might not otherwise understand what it actually feels like. I've been there all the way back in 2005, and also, experienced it when I was pregnant, and then experienced it again when I was taking a medication called Accutane for acne. It actually caused restless leg syndrome, as well as a little bit of peripheral neuropathy for a short term until I got off that medication. So definitely want to make sure I'm able to cast out some good energy and some ideal solutions, or maybe some hope of some different opportunities for tomorrow if you are suffering, because there's nothing worse than feeling pain all the time, especially at night. Restless leg syndrome is characterized by this sensation that your legs are cramping or tightening up, or you have the tendency to want to move a lot, especially later in the evening or when you're sleeping in the middle of the night. It is very often occurred in individuals who have more of a sedentary lifestyle, or maybe you sit at a desk throughout the day. Maybe you're active, doing workouts during the morning or in the evening, but during the day you sit a lot. And then when you go to the workout, you go to the gym and work out, and then you come home and you can't wind down. So, hey, let's have a little cocktail, let's have a little nightcap, let's have some caffeine, or let's have a cigarette. A lot of those little things actually contribute to more inflamed symptoms of restless leg syndrome. So I wanted to talk to you about some of the risk factors and some of those underlying principles that can create more inflammation, but also create more symptoms. According to the research, there are two things that scientists think that lead to the increase of inflammation or the sensation of restless leg syndrome. And one of those is a lack of oxygen as a result of decreased blood flow and circulation. And number two, it's a misfiring of brain signals to the extremities. And so if you listen to or look at what studies say about fibromyalgia, which is something I still suffer from today, fibromyalgia is simply the brain is miscommunicating to the pain receptors within our muscles and within our joints throughout our whole body. And what our brain thinks is actually wrong with us and what is actually going on is two different things. So a lot of individuals who have pain don't have anything wrong with them whatsoever. They just have a miscommunication crossfire between the brain and the nervous system. So it is a nervous system problem in a lot of ways, but again, it can also be a circulatory problem in a lot of ways. So either way, the idea, if we're looking at supplementation nutrition, some of the other things that can be cause factors of restless leg syndrome is a deficiency in iron, as well as a lack of dopamine levels in the brain and creating response. So if you can increase your iron levels, whether it's through infusions or whether it's through supplementation, as well as there's also research that supports that magnesium and zinc and vitamin D also increase the overall relief of symptoms from restless leg syndrome. So if you can take some of those supplements, if you're not already taking those, and of course, check in with your healthcare professional just to make sure that those are safe with you if you're taking other medications. Some of those things can also help in alleviating some of the symptoms with restless leg syndrome. So back into some of the risk factors, a lot of people who suffer from restless leg syndrome are also dealing with compromised sleeping patterns. So a lot of times doctors will do a sleep study to see how often you're moving involuntarily through the middle of the night and how often your brain is actually awakening on a subconscious level between the different stages of sleep. Because if you're not getting into a certain level of sleep, it ultimately affects how our hormones release, which affects how our body heals. So compromised sleep patterns can cause some problems. And there is a lot of research that supports that restless leg syndrome is a circadian rhythm associated disorder, which means it tends to flare up specifically in the evening hours or in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep. Stress, if you're dealing with mental, emotional, or physical stress, definitely can inflame those symptoms more or increase those symptoms. Again, living a sedentary lifestyle or obesity, an increase in your weight if you are obese or if you are morbidly obese, or if you're just not used to carrying around an extra 20 pounds. That's a very, very laboring thing on your body. So obesity goes back to pregnancy. I experienced it when I was pregnant with my daughter, and my legs and my extremities naturally swelled anyways. But if you know, you don't have to have, I had the poster perfect pregnancy all the way through to the end and still had restless leg syndrome and still had cramping. So pregnancy is usually a risk factor. Diabetes, because of compromised circulation to the extremities, renal insufficiency, which kind of goes hand in hand a lot of times with diabetes, and then sleep disordered breathing. So if you've got sleep apnea actually is another one, because again, you're compromising oxygen flow to the body. So anxiety and depression have a lot to do with dopamine levels. And so naturally, if you suffer from anxiety or depression, there's a very good chance that you're going to experience from time to time the restless leg syndrome. So what I want to talk to you about now that we've covered some of those risk factors and talked about what restless leg syndrome is some of the research studies that I have found that support how Lifepro can help you at home. Because if you're like me, I've been on the gabapentin, I've been on all the other anti-seizure drugs, I've been on the sleeping pills in years past. Back in 2005, I had a lot of different specialists. I had a rheumatologist, I had a neurologist, I had a spine doctor. I had a lot of different doctors working with me, and I was taking about 21 pills a day, them not realizing how much I was truly being medicated, and developed even more symptoms with restless leg syndrome throughout my journey of trying to recover and rehabilitate. So uh, what is what is really important to remember, as much as individuals want to promote or support or recommend to you different medications by prescription, you do have other options if you choose that you don't want to put chemical substance into your body. And so one of the wonderful things that I love about, especially working with Lifepro, but not only just that, but actually looking and comparing Lifepro products to other products that are on the market that I've already used before I started working with Lifepro. And what I can tell you is we carry a tremendous number of products that you can use regardless of how much you're wanting to spend, whether you're only wanting to spend, $100, or if you're wanting to spend $400 or $500 or someplace in the middle, or you want to buy a couple of different things. I'm going to show you some different products and provide you the clinical research that supports all of that. And then we're going to talk about what you're actually going to do with the device if you decide that you want to try it. And remember, any of the products that you're going to hear about today and any of the products that we have available through our website or through Amazon, you get 30 days to trial and error those products. So if your restless leg syndrome does not subside or does not decrease, and we're telling you that that's a possibility and you're not happy with the product because it's not doing what we might suggest that it will do, or it's not at least lowering your intensity of symptoms, then at least reach back out to us and let us know so that we can help you in finding the product that might work best for you. Anyhow, so I want to go into some of these subjects, into these studies real quick. The first one I want to talk to you about is it is published by the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. They tested 11 subjects with restless leg syndrome. They underwent 2 weeks of 14-minute intermittent whole body vibration over, again, a 2-week period. And whole body vibration, so meaning any of the platforms. So I've got the Waver Mini. Sorry, I had a brain lapse there. We have the Waver Mini, and then we also have the Rumble X Pro. Now, I'm not recommending those two specifically because they're better than any of the others. I just wanted you to know that you can do one extreme versus the other. And the Waver Mini you can use at work. If you are one who sits at your desk a lot through the day, you can be sitting at your desk and having your feet on the platform, and it keeps your legs moving, which continues to circulate oxygen and blood flow. So there, you don't have to have the most expensive platform. Any whole body vibration platform that you have that we offer, or one that you might be interested in, is sufficient for providing the results for anybody on some level. And so what the results of this clinical study was able to prove is that whole body vibration did significantly decrease symptoms associated with restless leg syndrome compared to the baseline data and those who didn't use vibration therapy. So it only took, again, 2 weeks. They did it every day for 2 weeks for only 14 minutes. And what they mean by an intermittent program is a pre-programmed setting. So all that means is that if you're on the vibration platform, and regardless of whether you choose a P1, P2, P3, or if you've got the Waver Mini, all the way up to like a P8 or a P7, whatever end of the spectrum you want, you're going to have a change in the quality of vibration and intensity throughout that preset program, which re-stimulates how the brain receives information. Because again, if we go back to me talking about in a lot of videos of the past, whole body vibration hyperstimulates the neuroreceptors on the bottom of your feet. So being barefoot is ideal, but if you're not barefoot, it's okay. But it stimulates 80% of the neuroreceptors, the small cell nerve bundles, which exist on the skin on the bottom of the feet. It stimulates those to trigger the brain a response in a communication pathway. And we get that energy naturally through the ground, but because we don't move very often barefoot and our shoes are very manipulative, it shuts those receptors down. So whole body vibration has proven to be able to enrich and re-stimulate those receptors so that your brain can then communicate effectively throughout your whole body and your peripheral nervous system, in knowing what we should be feeling versus what our body wants us to think that we're feeling. And so again, the miscommunication is kind of corrected. So it doesn't make any difference which one of the platforms you use or which program you use, as long as it's falling within your comfort zone. Now, I'm going to cover a variety of different studies that were presented. If you go to healthline.com and type in restless leg syndrome, you can go back and look at the references for these. But one of the remedies that they provide suggestions to is a foot wrap. Now, an Uniboot / foot wrap is what they call it. And usually you have to go see a physician or an orthopedic technologist. I used to do these for a variety of different surgeons working in orthopedics several years ago, back in 2004. And when I worked with those physicians, my job was to provide a compressive foot wrap all the way from the tip of the toes all the way up the calf to promote ideal circulation. But again, you have to have a prescription, and it's very, very expensive for that service. So what I want to make sure you will know is you don't have to have a foot wrap, because Lifepro makes a couple of different devices that kind of replicate the same kind of therapy, but you have control by taking the boots on and off as to how you feel and how much intensity you're promoting circulation into the lower extremities. One of them is the Axis boots, which you're going to see over here on my lounger, and then the other one is our Thrive or our Radiance boots. So, and you don't have to have the full leg boots. You can just have the lower leg boots if you prefer. And those all have preset programs, so there's no mind work behind it. You just put them on and turn on the button and go. And preferably, if you can lounge back in the lounger, like I'm going to show you here in a little bit, and get your legs elevated so that you can continue to work with the pump for lymphatic purposes, detox, but also in getting good circulation to the extremity, it's all going to help and complement the relief of those symptoms. Anyhow, in a 2013 study, 30 people used a foot wrap for 8 weeks, found significant improvements in restless leg syndrome and rest quality. So, and again, I don't have the specific resource on this one, but if you go to healthline.com, you'll find the information. Pneumatic compression, which is what the Axis boots, as well as what the Thrive and the Radiant boots do, meaning that it's a cyclical pumping sensation. So there's several chambers in the Thrive and the Radiant boots I'm going to show you. There are 2 chambers. We've got a foot ankle chamber and we've got a calf chamber. And then the Axis boots have 4 different chambers, 16 different preset programs that you can use, but 4 different chambers. And so it works cyclically, working to squeeze from the toes up into the hip so that you are working to promote good circulation to and from. And it's a gentle massage all in the same thing. But in a hospital, they're using pneumatic compression devices. Usually, if you're hospitalized in a bed and you've had surgery, they're using it to improve circulation and to specifically prevent blood clots. So you can look at the Axis boots as well as the other sets of boots in a way of helping with circulation, but they also help with preventing blood clots by keeping things pumping and moving through. It improved circulation. Knowing that those individuals wore those boots, they automatically noticed an improvement in restless leg syndrome. And so researchers are believing that the cause of the restless leg syndrome in many scenarios is low oxygen levels in the limbs. And so by increasing the oxygen levels to the limbs, we're decreasing the onset of restless leg syndrome. In 2009, there was a study of 35 people who used pneumatic compression devices, such as what I just mentioned to you, at least 1 hour every day for a month, and remarkably improved, if not completely eliminated, their restless leg syndrome symptoms, and improved their sleep quality and overall daytime function. So in looking at other research, they have not seen the same effect specifically with that. So 1 hour a day. We have our compression boots start at a level of 5 minutes, if I remember right. And we actually have the Axis boots that go up to 1.5 hours, and the other boots go up to, I think, 30 minutes. I might be wrong on that, but I think 30 minutes. So that's pneumatic compression research. When it comes to massage, and so I've got a massage device that I wanted to share with you all. We have a lot of foot calf massage devices available through Lifepro, but the one that I want to make sure that I'm sharing with you today is the Relaxatilt Pro. The Marvelax is also a great product. I didn't bring it down because it's a very big device, but it actually, you stick your feet inside of it, and it sits all the way up into your calves, and it has many different acupressure balls as well as different massage functions. But it is a total lower leg massage by sitting in this device while you're sitting in a chair. Feels truly remarkable, and it's got a heat feature and a vibration feature as well. But it's the Marvelax. I don't have it down because, again, it's really big. But the Relaxatilt Pro is what I'm going to be showing you that you can use at home. If you like to sit in a recliner, you can set it against the recliner without having your legs elevated, or you can actually elevate your legs similar to my zero gravity lounger here. And so I'll show you how that works here in a little bit. But what I want to share with you on that note is they had a 35-year-old woman. This was a single person study, and they had her do 45-minute leg massages twice a week for 3 weeks. Twice a week for 3 weeks. And it improved restless leg syndromes immediately throughout that whole time period. But her massages include a variety of acupressure and Swedish massage, as well as direct pressure to the leg muscles, very similar to what you're going to get with the Lifepro massagers. And her restless leg syndromes symptom eased after only 2. She only had 2 treatments before her symptoms completely started to dissipate, and didn't start to return until 2 weeks after the massage regimen ended. So if you're you can eliminate the symptoms and gain the symptoms just as fast as you eliminate if you're not finding other remedies to complement. So if you find one remedy that works, whether it's a massage device or whether it's a vibration platform or the pneumatic compression devices, or just exercise. If you're not keeping up with that, there is a tendency, especially if we are carrying autoimmune disease, if we're diabetic, if we're dealing with weight gain or sleep apnea, we tend to see those symptoms return if we don't keep up with some level of prevention and treatment, but they can eliminate completely. And so anyhow, her symptoms went away after after only 2 massage sessions. So do you have to go 2 times a week, every week for the rest of your life? No, because nobody can afford that. But just starting to break up the connective tissue, breaking up the muscles, getting good flow down into the extremity, and turning on those neuroreceptors, creating communication pathways back and forth to the brain. The research scientist, he basically attributes the release of dopamine caused by the massage as the reason for the benefit. So, as you have heard from me talk many, many times over and over again, by just standing on the whole body vibration platform, you're automatically releasing and improving the concentration of dopamine levels in the brain. You're getting a dose of hormone release when you're standing on the platform for just 10 minutes at a time, no matter what you do. If you don't exercise and you just stand on the platform, you're getting a dopamine response, you're getting an oxytocin response, a serotonin response, and an endorphin response, which is your painkiller. So you don't have to take the pills in order to alleviate that leg pain. So there is how massage affects in exercise. So I want to make sure you remember exercise, because exercise is one of the best things you can do. If you go too long without doing any kind of exercise whatsoever, whether it's walking, whether it's jogging, whether it's riding a bike, getting on a vibration platform, using an elliptical trainer, or doing some kind of yoga or group circuit training, as you can see my gal in the background, if you don't maintain an exercise program regularly, 3 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes minimum a day for each one of those sessions, you're going to have some other things that are going to set you back, because metabolically your body changes. And the secret to our body thriving is staying moving. So in a truth, and this is an old study. I didn't do any specific studies because I was limited on time this week. But in a 2006 study, so this is old, in a 2006 study, 23 people with restless leg syndrome found that exercise, aerobic specific exercise, and lower body resistance training done 3 times a week for 12 weeks eliminated their symptoms. So that's huge. That is huge, huge, huge. And so what we do know with exercise is that it improves sleep, it improves circulation, it helps to regulate metabolism and fat composition, or body composition in general, and how our body regulates fat. Also, how our body regulates insulin release, and again, those who are suffering from being overweight or suffering of metabolic syndrome, metabolic resistance syndrome, exercise helps with all of that. So, again, if you don't want to rely on drug therapy, pharmaceuticals for restless leg syndrome, then there's a lot of different options that you can fall into. Now, in a research study, and this was published in 2016, so it did go recent. And this was a research study called The Effect of Massage Therapy on Restless Leg Syndrome. 2 groups that served as participants of the studies. There were 300 male and female students in a higher education center, ranging from ages 18 to 30 years of age, and height ranged. Hold up here. Okay, so I'm sorry. There's a typo here. So they talk about their weight in kilograms, so 55 to 85 in kilos. So if you want to convert that to pounds, feel free to do that. But the results showed that a period of massage therapy had a significant effect on tingling in the feet, foot throbbing, burning feet, the sudden jump feet, and sleep quality improved. So that's a very shortcut and easy study. For those of you who are suffering of renal insufficiency or diabetes or metabolic resistance syndrome, this study is a very promising study. It was a clinical trial that was conducted on 80 hemodialysis patients with restless leg syndromes who were assigned into 2 groups randomly. The first group received massage, and the second group received vibration. What they found that there was a significant difference observed in the severity of restless leg syndrome and sleep quality after the interventions between both groups. So both groups, whether they did massage or vibration therapy, experienced significant symptoms in decreasing the volume and the intensity of their symptoms. But this is the one that's huge. The study findings also found that there was an improved sleep quality and improved sleep quality and severity was better in those with vibration than in massage. So, what's the point to that? And this was released by the Journal of Renal Injury Prevention. So what am I saying here? If you, according to that study, they used vibration and massage, two separate groups, okay, and both groups, whether it was massage or vibration, decreased in severity of symptoms, if not eliminated those symptoms. But they found that those who did vibration therapy versus those who did massage therapy, those in the group that experienced vibration therapy had better scores, less pain, faster results, and better quality of life and sleep patterns. So you don't have to see a massage therapist, although if you want to, we don't discourage you from that. But vibration therapy makes a different impact, and that was just in one study. What I want to share with you is some information about a couple of my clients that I've worked with recently in the last couple of weeks. I've taken on a couple of new trauma cases. One individual is paraplegic who was involved in a mini bike accident. He's a high school student, semi-professional racing, and was involved in an accident which created a spinal injury. So he is paralyzed at the moment on some level below the waist. However, he came into my facility last week, and I put him on sitting on a box behind me, and put his feet on a vibration platform, the Rumble X Pro, and I held his feet into position so that we could compress the vibration platform, and he could actually, this is going to blow your mind, he could actually feel the lymphatic channels and the blood flow changing in his limbs. Now, mind you, he has compromised sensation and he does not have the ability to walk right now, but we are working on that. And we were able to stimulate his toes to move, his lower leg muscles to move. But the more important thing was that he could actually feel the energy working down into his lower limbs and in his thighs. So, super, super incredible opportunity to see where that takes him because I've only worked with him once. I work with him once a week. And he's in very, very rigorous, aggressive therapy several days a week, working with a team of specialists to help him getting to walk because his goal is to walk and receive his high school diploma. And I got entered into his medical team in order to get him along the way by doing a lot of stuff that I recommend, not only with LifePro, but doing some massage and acupuncture and cupping in order to increase, circulation and oxygen levels down to the extremity, but also to increase the hormone response and the brain receptors. So again, saw an immediate change in him in just a 10-minute session. So he's doing those every day at home now and feeling better and better each and every day, going back to therapy, having more productive sessions. So I'm excited to stay in tune with what his results are with using LifePro products, but also just truly beating the odds because it's a miracle that he's able to do what he can do. I worked with a gentleman earlier this week, a tow truck driver who was shot multiple times trying to take care of a customer who had a disabled vehicle. And because of the world that we live in at times, he was shot point blank 5 times by the person that he was trying to help. And he miraculously survived. It is an absolute miracle that he survived. And so he came in to visit me this week. And same thing, I put him on a platform because he had debilitating nerve pain so much that he's not able to touch, nobody's able to really touch his limb, one of his legs, and had excruciating hip pain, and also has got some back and shoulder issues because he has a shattered pelvis from a bullet going in here. He had a bullet, we had 5 bullets, guys, 5 bullets going through and through his body. 2 of them, I take that back, 2 of them are still stuck in his body, but the rest of them went through and through, and he survived. And I'm helping, I'm part of his medical team to rehabilitate him. But just sitting on that box, putting his feet, I had him put his feet on 3 different Rumble X platforms for 10 minutes, and he was automatically able to walk different. He was walking with a cane earlier in the week with a limp, and he walked out of my facility yesterday without a cane, without a limp, not feeling the pain in his pelvis, and actually feeling the entire bottom of his foot, whereas before he could only feel his toes. So we were able to enrich the sensations to his extremity. But not only that, I was actually able to touch and massage his lower leg that he hasn't been able to experience touch for several weeks. So the fun part of my job that I love about with working with Life Pro as well as working in the realm of the scope that I cover is sometimes we can't follow a protocol for individuals who have so many different underlying situations because there's no book written on how to rehabilitate individuals who are coming from their unique cases. So I'm sharing that with all of you because I don't want you to be afraid to try certain things. If you try something and it doesn't work, then make a note of it. And if you try something and it does work, then continue to thrive with that and don't be afraid to try. But the most important thing that I've told all the individuals that I'm working with is you've got to stay moving because motion is lotion and movement is medicine. And the individual who was, well, both individuals for that matter, don't want to be medicated at all. They don't like the way that the medication changes how their mind works, how their body feels. They truly like being in tune with how they feel as an individual. And so Life Pro products, again, I've sent platforms home on loan with a lot of clients. Life Pro products are changing lives every single day in trauma cases in which the one individual went to a neurologist on Monday and the neurologist said, there's nothing I can do to help you. Like, here's the gabapentin. There's nothing I can do to help you. And I said, I'm willing to take a chance. Let's try. And we tried and it worked. So really, really exciting to be part of the journey for those individuals, but also to be part of the journey with Life Pro and to be part of the journey with all of you and trying to find what works for you because we have to treat each one of you as an individual, not as a number or as a protocol, as a clinical subject. And so what might work for one of you might not work for the other one of you. So I want to go through these products right now. And if you have questions, please feel free to post and let me know if you have any questions or specifics. I want to go through here and answer some of these comments here real quick. I have a Rumble X Plus and it has been used 17 days now. I do notice improvement in restless legs and periodic limb movement disorder, and also has the cryofrost. Will that help with that? Yes, it will. Now, the cryofrost can be a little tricky because cryofrost is going to limit circulation and oxygen flow down into the extremity. But what the cryofrost does do is that it lowers levels of inflammation. So it can go both ways. What I would highly recommend is not using the cryofrost right before you go to bed at night, making sure that you're on the platform right before you go to bed at night. Because if you use the cryofrost right before you go to bed at night, when your legs do no longer have the numbness, because you have blocked circulation into the extremity using the cryofrost, the idea is to numb that area, but also to constrict the vessels, shutting down like a higher level of circulation, because if you're already inflamed, you don't want to increase more inflammation by pushing more flow down there. We want to be able to pump that back and forth. So if you're using the cryofrost right before bed, that can be a little tricky because as soon as your temperatures come back to normal, do the symptoms come back. So I would recommend using the cryofrost as needed throughout the day because as soon as you're able to get up and get moving, you can start pumping again. And then if you start to get the cramps, then you can ice back down and use that pneumatic compression that comes with the cryofrost. So there's, but again, Chuck, you want to make sure that you are able to use it with what works best for you. In other words, if you do try it at night and you feel more relief by doing it late at night, then stick with that. Don't go off of what I'm telling you just because that's what Amber says. If it works for you, let us know because we learn from each other. And so, question, would any of these exercises help with lower leg mild edema? Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. Any kind of exercise that we can do with our lower extremity is going to work in creating a pumping sensation using our muscles to push circulation and lymphatics up and down through the channels so that we can clear out the crap and get the good stuff in. So hopefully that answers your question, JJ. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with some of these different devices through LifePro, and we'll show you how you can use these different devices and how you're going to feel different. All right, starting up, I want to show you the Velo cycle. Now, it doesn't make any difference which exercise bike you use. Hydration is key as well. It doesn't matter which exercise bike you use. You don't have to have a Life Pro exercise bike. Again, just trying to answer some questions as to how you can use different devices that you might already have at home, or maybe devices that are interest to you. Let's see here. How much before bed to use Rumble X? I'll talk to you about that here in just a second, Stephanie. We'll cover that, I promise. Okay, so anyhow, I am barefoot in the moment in a pair of flip flops. Now, I don't recommend, okay, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I do not recommend using the exercise bike without shoes on. So as silly as this is going to sound, I'm actually going to use my flip flops because I don't want to put my tennis shoes on. But I'm actually going to use my flip flops to use on the pedals, though I don't recommend that all the time. But since I'm not doing this exercise for cardiorespiratory or for creating lean muscle mass, I'm actually using the VeloCycle for generating circulation and activating muscles. When we are activating muscles through twitching, through contraction, we are actually creating a pumping mechanism which works to clear out toxicity in our extremities and, again, bringing blood flow down into the extremity. So, what I would recommend, if you're doing this, whether it's in the morning when you first roll out of bed, or whether you're doing it in the evening right before you go to bed, is just getting your legs moving. If you find that you have a hard time sleeping, I've had those moments many a times in the past. Get up. If you have a flight of stairs in your home, get up and walk up and down the stairs a couple of times and then go back and lay down in bed. It will actually help you fall back to sleep. Just don't turn on the lights bright, because what happens when you turn on lights bright is it stimulates our brain to turn on full response in a fight or flight state as opposed to a recovery, relaxation state. Excuse me. But if you just walk up and down the stairs in order to get those muscles working, or you get on a bike and just pedal ever so slightly, just to get the circulation going. Now, if you decide that you want to add a little resistance, you can add a little resistance. But again, if you're doing this for restless leg syndrome, do not worry about the metrics on the computer on board, regardless of which device you're using, whether it's the elliptical, whether it's the bike, whether it's the VeloCycle or the Dash X, whatever you're using at home. It's not so much a matter of whether you're burning so many calories or you're going at a certain RPM. What matters is that you're moving. And so if you are not wanting to do certain exercises for lower body resistance, okay, let's use the VeloCycle not only for circulation and for improving our cardiorespiratory or, oxygen levels into the muscles, but let's crank up the intensity and let's go a little slower and let's work resistance. So you can do resistance training by adding a higher level of resistance. So I'm on a level 7 right now and just going a little slower, okay, and forcing the resistance. Now, we can add the pumping mechanism while we are improving in the resistance of the lower body. So you can do a couple of different motions, but again, this exercise is not ideally catering to cardiorespiratory and weight loss as much as it is resistance and blood flow to the extremities. So, different indications for riding the VeloCycle for different outcomes. So, there's no right or wrong way, but I just want to make sure that you know. What I don't want is, I know that Roseanne has done a cycling series, and so whatever she's already told you, I want you to take it for truly the value that it is. But in relation to restless leg syndrome, as long as you get the legs moving, you're going to feel some differences. Okay. So there's the VeloCycle. And you can use, like I said, you can use any device for that matter when it comes to any exercise bike. You just need to make sure and get on and get going. Okay. Now, if you're wanting to do the elliptical, this is the Flex Stride Pro. We also have the Flex Stride. So we have two different ellipticals. And then we also have an under the desk bike, very similar to the Flex Stride. It's a Flex Cycle. And so you can actually go barefoot on this if you'd like to. It's a lot easier the closer it is to you. And again, we've got several resistance levels on here. On this one, on the Pro, we've got 16. There's less on the original. And both of these should be available online or on Amazon. And again, the idea is just to get the body moving, getting the legs moving so that you're able to get circulation, oxygen levels down into the extremity. And when we exercise and when we move the body, we automatically are releasing those happy hormones, including dopamine, which is one of the indicators for reducing restless leg syndrome. That's why they medicate with antidepressants in order to help with the dopamine response in the brain. So just pedal away, whatever level that you would like. And you go, I would suggest, 15 minutes at a minimum just to get things going. Okay. Yes. Okay. So JJ, that's a good note. Okay, so you're talking about a mini compact treadmill. We already have those. That's I got to think. We've got three different treadmills we have released. One of them, the Swift. The Swift is really small and it folds up so that you can move it around, but it's a very small treadmill, very, very compact, easy to use. I actually have it in a different room in my facility, so I'm not going to bring it out, but we already have a mini compact treadmill. Look online for the Swift treadmill. We've got two others that are heavier duty, bigger, have different options, easy to fold, easy to move. But the Swift is the smaller compact. So hopefully that answers that. Okay, so that is the FlexStride Pro. And so just to give you some idea here, yes. Oh, I've not seen a seated treadmill. Interesting. I'll have to look that one up, or I'll have to give Joel a heads up on that one because he's always ahead of us. Joel is always way ahead of the trends when it comes to coming out with products that are legendary, life changing. He is always on it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and bring out the vibration platforms. So, and I'll show you the exercises to do with these. This is the Waver Mini. I'm going to lower my screen here so you can all see. This is the Waver Mini, and I'm going to show you a little secret. I'm going to flip one cord into the other because most all of our platforms use the exact same cord. Quite convenient here. Okay, now I'm going to highly recommend that you go barefoot on this exercise, but just standing on the Waver is going to be the Waver. This is the Waver Mini specifically. Just standing on it is going to be quite powerful. Let me adjust this one more time. JJ, I'll have to check that out. You kind of inspired me to look into that. I'm not familiar with that treadmill, but I'm interested in checking that out. So I'll check that out and get back with you. Okay, now, if you're a little on the lazy side, I'm a little lazy at the moment, you can actually use your toes to set your settings as long as you've got the proper balance. But you're going to go to program mode. And what I would recommend if you have restless leg syndrome, I would use the higher end of the spectrum as long as it doesn't cause more discomfort and as long as you don't have pain with that. So you're just going to start. Just make sure and if you keep your knees relaxed, you're actually going to feel it in the calves more. When you lock out your knees, you're going to feel it in your hips and up here all the way up into your neck and shoulders. And this is, like I said, this is just the Waver Mini. So this is just a single motor unit. What I want you to think about doing though is open up your toes and try and spread your toes apart. If you don't have the ability to do that, definitely start working on that ability, because if you have control over opening and closing your toes, squeezing and separating your toes, that means that your brain is effectively communicating through the sacral nerves all the way down to the foot. So there is a full communication pathway between the feet and the brain. And that is super, super important when it comes to controlling input information into our brain, but also pain thresholds. So what I want you to do, like I said, is just make sure that you're relaxing your knees. You don't have to get into a squat, but if you do get into a partial squat, you're going to feel that intensity more in the lower legs as well as in the quads here on the front of the legs. But just relax those knees from an unlocked position and just absorb the energy. This right here feels really, really good. And what happens with our connective tissue is it starts to glue itself together, forming these little micro webs, these little adhesions. And when we have those little adhesions, it's next to impossible for some of our areas to hydrate with circulation and nutrients, which is where a lot of the neurosensory loss is coming from. When we get those webs that are full of bugs and full of adhesions, that's why massage makes such a big improvement in the outcome of restless leg syndrome symptoms, is because we're breaking apart all of those strands of connective tissue. But being on the platform actually does the exact same thing, even better than if we are receiving a Swedish massage. It's like a gentle earthquake effect. And intermittent can be a couple of different things. Intermittent means we can go high and low on a high and low level of changing over programs, or the other form of intermittent means you're on and then you're off. So you can turn it on for 2 minutes and then turn it off for 2 minutes, turn it on for 2 minutes, or you can turn it on for a minute, turn it off for 10 seconds, turn it on for a minute, turn it off for 10 seconds. But if you're me, I really don't want to think about it that much. I want to be able to actually enjoy this. And just remember, as you're standing on your platform, if you should start to develop an intense sensation of itching, that is a very good thing because you're releasing toxins into the body. The brain is recognizing them as an invader. So it's creating a histamine response to inflame and remove those out of your system so that your body can replenish itself with proper nutrients. So if you're itching, then continue to use the platform as long as you can tolerate it. And one of the greatest secrets for eliminating itching is peppermint oil. So if you have itching and it's driving you crazy, if you put peppermint oil on your skin using a carrier oil like coconut oil or jojoba oil, I put 3 or 4 drops of peppermint oil, pure organic peppermint oil in jojoba oil, and just lather it on. And then it eases itching very, very fast. So there's the waiver, I'm sorry, the waiver mini. Now, the other thing that you can do, what I do with a lot of clients is I'm going to bring this big box, which I use as a seat, but we use the big box and we just sit on it. And the idea here is to change the angle of where your knee falls in line with your toes and your ankle. So if you can sit forward on the edge of the box or the chair so that you are feeling a much bigger stretch back here in the calves, you're going to feel it in your calves a lot more. If you sit back a little bit more, you're going to feel it here in the lower legs, but you're going to feel it up here in the top as well. So there's not one right or wrong way to do it, but what I would highly recommend is changing the angle of your leg, your lower leg, as it relates to the foot. And so I'll turn this all sideways so you can see what I'm talking about with that. And that way it makes a little bit more sense to you. Okay. I'm gonna tilt you down just a tick. Yes, you're welcome for that tip. I use that a lot with my massage. They do a lot of cupping. And when I remove the cups, everybody automatically starts to itch like crazy. Okay, so if I sit more towards the front edge of the box, you can see that my knees are beyond my toes, and that's okay because we're not doing a lot of repetitive jumping or deep squats. Excuse me. So we're going to spread those toes apart as much as we can, and we're going to sit so that this angle here between the knee and the foot ankle is of a tighter angle, okay? And again, just think about working on moving your toes, whether you're wiggling them, whether you're squeezing them together, just truly feeling your toes in some different positions. And then move your body back just a little bit, keep your feet exactly where they're at, and then you're going to feel it totally different. So I can feel this much higher, specifically in my calves, and I'm starting to itch like crazy because I needed this today for sure. And then if you're wanting to feel, and I'm actually starting to feel this more in my shin bone. So I'm not feeling it so much up here, even though I am getting the vibration, but I'm feeling it more in the upper calves and along my shin angle. So those of you who have shin splints or are dealing with a stress fracture, this is really, really good treatment for that. I do that with a lot of the athletes that I work with. And then so we can sit back a little bit further. And now you're going to find, like, in that position, it's a little bit harder for me to maintain contact. So I'm going to take my platform away from me a little bit. And I'm going to push into the platform, which is going to push me back. Okay, so if you push the platform almost away from you without tilting the platform, you're going to feel this more here along the outside edges of your leg, as well as in the shin. Okay, I'm actually starting to itch throughout my shin. Itchy, 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 like feeling like I'm getting a bunch of mosquitoes, right? So, but I'd rather have that feeling than restless leg syndrome because that is not a fun sensation. Now, the other thing you can do is if you want to load this, is if you just take a hold of whatever it is you're sitting on and just lean forward just a little bit and just very lightly just lift your tushy up just a little bit, but you're not lifting too high and you're not relying too much on our little bench here. Okay. So we'll bring that back a little bit. And so again, if we want to lean forward and elevate our tush just a little, we're loading that, which means we're receiving more vibration. So the more you push into the platform, the more you load it, the more the energy travels through you. So it's an equal and opposite reaction to whatever it is you're in contact with. So if we can receive more vibration, it helps with eliminating that discomfort. Now, I want to show you another one of my signature tricks, and bear with me for 1 second while I grab that. But if you have foot pain and you have trouble with your feet, you can get these little things on Amazon. I sell them here in my facility. And in fact, it's part of my rehab program for anything below the waist, any kind of a knee injury. We start with the barefoot, even all the way to back. But if you type it on Amazon, gel toe separators. And this is what they look like. They're like little chubby, I like to call them chubby toe separators, like a pedicure salon. Okay. When you put these on your toes, it actually opens up. So if we're always stuck together like such, or you're starting to get a bunion, it actually forces everything to open up. And guess what happens when you open up? You actually push hydration through into those gaps, but you're also taking pressure off of the neuroreceptors, off of the pain receptors. So your pain actually goes down as your ability to receive and feel relief goes up, and circulation. So we put these little guys on. You just don't want to walk around in them. But I have a lot of people that we put these on them and have them stand on the platform. And if you have any kind of like plantar fasciitis, it's another good one for that's one of my signature um, exercise slash remedies for plantar fasciitis is if you get these and you put these in between your toes. So that's what it looks like. Big, big toe separators. There you go. Okay. So Piggly Wigglies are separated across. Okay. Um, so as we sit here, now I'm actually receiving information even more because my toes and the gaps in my feet are more open. Here's something that'll blow your mind. So if you count all of the bones in the human body, 25% of all the bones in the human body are in the foot alone. 25% of the bones in the whole human body are in the foot. That's crazy. We have over 100 ligaments in our foot complex. So as we get stuck and confined into shoes and tights and heels and wedges and all these different things that we wear, we are constantly putting pressure and forming. Our body will realign itself and mold itself into the direction that stress is placed upon it. And so we get cramped and then we just forget how to open things back up. So one of the things I like to do with any kind of foot pain, any kind of lower leg pain, shin splints, restless leg syndrome, um, all the way up to truly filling into to the pelvis, is getting the toes and the feet to open up so that we can neurosense much higher levels than before, and with that, our pain gets better. Okay, so that's what I wanted to make sure and show you is the knee alignment or the angle of the leg, the lower leg, in relationship to the foot and the ankle. And then we also can turn our feet inward and outward, okay? And that changes the amount of intensity of vibration that we feel in the lower body. So as you turn those feet and as you change your knee alignment, as you turn those feet, there's so many different combinations you can go with. Just have fun with it. Don't outthink the process. In other words, if it feels good to you, stick with it. Try some different things. And if it doesn't feel good to you and you're not getting any relief from it, then try something else. Okay. All right. Now, I will show you this on the Rumble X Pro. You can do it on the Waver Mini as well, but I want to make sure that I don't waste time doing it on both the exact same thing because, again, these exercises work for any platform. You don't have to have any one specific. So if you can only afford the Waiver Mini, then you just stick to the Waiver Mini. And if you really want to go all the way with the Pro, then get yourself the Pro. You don't have to have one specific platform, they all work. Now, the more motors you have, the more vibration energy you receive. And that's the secret to pain relief, is getting more planes of motion of sensory input versus just the one or the two. Okay, so plugging on in here. Now, the question on the RumbleX, this came up earlier. Which program or how soon before you go to bed do you use? That is a tough question because everybody is so different. For me, the more aggressive that my treatment is, the more relief I feel. And as some, if they feel too much aggression in the programming, then they can't wind down. So it can go one extreme or the other. I would just try each one of the preset programs and see what works best for you. Or go into manual mode and just play around with how many motors you have on, with which motion that actually feels best to you. But one of the exercises that I like to do, most everybody knows at this point that I absolutely love the P2 program. So that's what I'm going to go with. And remember, the closer your legs are to the center, the less intensity you receive. The wider your legs go to the outside, the more vibration you receive. So find your comfort zone, and just sitting here receiving this energy is quite powerful. Okay. Now, one thing that you can do right now, I am sitting bare on the floor, and so my legs are more elevated, but I'm not completely level. So what I might do is grab myself a couple of memory foam pads. You can get these on Amazon for like 20 bucks a piece, or you can come up with your own creative idea. But I'm just going to stack these up so that my body is actually level. Body's actually level. And then everything actually bounces a lot different. But I want the intensity to be up here directly in the calves. Oh, there we go. There's some good stuff right there. And you can lean back and enjoy it. If you sit more forward, you're going to stretch out the bottom part of the bottom backside of your legs, so your hamstrings and your glutes, but you're also going to get a good stretch in the back. So if you feel like sitting here with your legs draped across a bit, you can also do windshield wipers where you're rotating the toes inward to outward. And again, I've still got those jelly toe separators in, and they actually feel really, really good. Okay, you can stay inward and just let everything bounce around. We can slowly move away to the outside. We can even go one direction to the other direction. We can keep one foot up and we can move the other. So there's really no specific rules as to what kind of a program you're wanting to do for restless legs. But if you work more on the back side, the posterior compartment is where a lot of the thicker muscles are located on. This anterior compartment here just contains one major, there's more soft tissue there, but the one muscle on the front that's responsible for picking your foot up off the ground, the anterior tibialis, that muscle tends to not be the most contributory to restless leg syndrome. We tend to feel it more from the deep compartments or from the the gastroc calf muscles on the backside. So if you can stimulate those on the backside, that's going to be more beneficial than trying to get everything in contact with the front. Now, here's a thought for you. If you have a massage gun handy, while you're sitting here getting the backside of your calves, you can be running a massage gun up and down the front of your leg, because you don't ever want to run a massage gun on your shin bone. Massage gun is not meant to be used on a bony prominent or a bony area. So you can work here along this muscle right here, which is called the tibialis posterior, or the outside here, the anterior tibialis, or the perineals along the outside, while the calves are receiving all of the energy. So you can work two sides at the same time if you have a massage gun. The Dyna Mini is a great massage gun to play around with for that. It's a very small handheld travel-based massage gun, maybe $100. And so if you have a platform but you don't have a massage gun, that's another easy way that you can start with. So as you can see, my legs are bouncing around a lot more than where we started. And again, I'm just using a P2 level and just working with my body. Now, if I put my feet up, I can also experience vibration this way. Now, it's not as intense. I'm still getting a little bit of a jostling on the backside of my calves, but it's not going to be as intense as if you are sitting in a chair or sitting with your legs draped across. So, a lot of different ways you can do this, but the vibration platforms are really powerful. I personally love to stand on mine, but if you are an individual that you're tired at the end of the day and you just want to feel this most incredible massage on your legs, then you just sit here and do your thing. And if you have a hard time getting up and down off of the floor, you could put one of these on an ottoman and lay your legs across it on an ottoman. You just have to make sure your ottoman is not smaller than your platform, because if the platform is vibrating at a very high threshold, it can actually vibrate off of your ottoman if you're not careful. So make sure that you are looking at safety first. So I tell you what, I don't want to move on to the next product, but life is calling, so we're going to. All right. So hopefully I answered questions on the vibration platforms. Make sure and post if you have any ideas or questions that I have not answered. Okay, and the next one we're going to cover is the Relax-A-Tilt Pro. This is probably one of my favorite leg massagers in the history of Lifepro. If you've not experienced this before, it's most magical, most wonderful. And again, you can leave those toe separators in, but here is the Relax-A-Tilt Pro. And what makes the Pro different from the regular is that the plug-in here on the outside it's plugging in from the outside so that you can truly move this around in 360 degrees of motion without having to move through the plug. So that can be tricky with the original. The original is cheaper, but it doesn't matter. They both work very, very much the same. It does not matter whether the Relax-A-Tilt is turning away or towards you. This depends on where you want your control panel facing. And so on this one, we've got 3 different levels of intensity, 3 different foot massages, 3 different calf massages, and then we also have heat. So you can run those however you want to. What I would be very careful of, because again, I've got fibro, so I'm ultra sensitive to certain stimuli. What I have to be really careful of, give me one second here as I rearrange my cords. What I have to be really careful of is having too much massage in areas of my calves. So if I were to use the foot massage for my calves, I would probably be very, very uncomfortable. And if I were to use the calf massage for my feet, I would probably be very, very uncomfortable. So just make sure that if you don't have a positive experience, that you're trying the right settings that work for you. But we're going to power on. Our legs go in the chambers like such, okay? And you can be sitting in a chair because again, this thing tilts up and down. If you're sitting in bed and you don't want to get out and sit down on the floor, you can actually set this device in your bed and use it from your bed. So it's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to go calf massage. Woo, yes. And again, this one really does a fine job in getting into the nit gritty, and it's giving you a massage. You're getting heat, you're getting compression. And again, I am super sensitive in my calves because of my fibromyalgia. So I have to think myself through it before I start playing with the intensity. But again, we have low, medium, and high intensity. This one is automatically starting at medium intensity. And so I'm on C1, but again, we've got 3 different calf massages. And so this one right here, you can just feel these little massage balls rocking back and forth and a little bit at a time. If I push it again, it's automatically going to kick into the next program. And again, we're getting a little bit of vibration and we're getting some kneading going back and forth. Okay. So feels really good. Now, if I go into the foot massage, this is the one that really hurts for me. I have to talk myself through it because the foot massage is digging deep as if it's your foot, and I can't handle deep pressure massage in my calves. It is ultra, ultra uncomfortable for me. So I like to go back to the calf here, and you're going to see these little chambers are going to fill in as the program progresses. And again, the nice thing about this is you can be sitting in a lounge chair and you can tilt to the proper position so that you're able to receive the massage whatever angle that you want to sit or relax. So that's how the Relax-A-Tilt Pro works. All right. And again, it's got this little carry handle on it, so you can do all different kinds of things with carrying it around and positioning it. Now, last but not least, we talked about pneumatic compression devices. And so that's what I'm going to cover last. I want to show you, these are the Thrive boots. They come in a couple of different names. So what I want to show you is this is specifically the lower leg boot. Okay. We have others that cover all the way up to the hip and the knee. But for this specific demo, we're only working specifically on the lower leg. So, and it has a wireless remote so that you can have everything here in the palm of your hands. Oh, I'm reading this from Stephanie. I stopped using my Rumble-X because of my plantar fasciitis. It hurt too much. Any ideas? Absolutely. Keep doing your Rumble-X, but use a different type of vibration because it should actually help. I've not had anybody that's had complications in plantar fasciitis, but what I would suggest, plantar fasciitis most often is caused from constriction in the calves, from tight calf muscles, not in the feet. It triggers down into the foot. But the plantar fascia is actually made to generate 1,500 pounds of force to move our body forward. And if it gets tight or if it carries more tension, it's coming from the calves. So make sure and take care of your calves, and then it won't hurt to use it from a standing position. So just use it on a lower level of intensity is what I would recommend. There's a whole video series on YouTube, Amber, Lifepro, plantar fasciitis, and I cover all the different secret remedies that I always use professionally to fix plantar fasciitis quickly. So, okay, back to the Thrive boots. So when you turn on the device, you're going to put it on, and you can put it on in a seated position. You can do all different kinds of things. Now, I would not recommend wearing the toe separators while you are in a set of the boots. So you're going to take those off before you put your boots on, whether it's the Axis boots or the other style of boots. The Axis boots zip all the way up to the hip, and the other boots Velcro. So they're not fully enclosing the extremity. They Velcro. And so I will show you. You don't have to be these clip off so that you are free and clear of the control panel. I don't recommend that you walk around in these. These are labeled right or left. And so you're going to stick your foot in, foot first. And we're going to go ahead and seal on up. What you're going to find potentially is that you're going to feel an uncomfortable compression right over the ankle where the crease of the ankle is from the foot and the shin. And if you do feel that discomfort, then just release and lighten up the cuff down here at the bottom, okay? And then from here, I'm going to put on the left boot. And I just had these loaned out for an individual who had an ankle sprain. And we used it for her to rehabilitate quickly with swelling, because when you have a lot of swelling, you can't do range of motion or strengthening. So we had a grade 2 ankle sprain, which normally takes like 4 to 6 weeks, and she was back and thriving in 2 weeks. So I'm known to cut recovery time down by at least half. So it's pretty awesome. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and plug these in. And as you can see, I'm not elevating my legs. You don't have to if you don't want to. And for the convenience of this demonstration, I'm just going to keep my legs down. But I guess the point of this is if you have challenges at work or you're sitting a lot, you can actually use these at your desk. They fold up into a little bitty duffel bag, and they work really, really well. So I'm going to turn this on, and it automatically kicks on. There are several preset programs. We also have a heat function and an intensity function. And so you're going to feel when you turn on the device, it automatically starts inflating. So it's starting to increase in pressure in the calf, and then it works its way down into the foot. And again, depending on which program you choose, we're getting a couple of different options for how everything transfers. You have the ability to turn the heat feature completely off, and you have the ability to turn the intensity all the way down to a low level or all the way to a higher level. I want to say there's three levels of intensity, but I can feel this pumping on my calves, and it feels absolutely amazing. So if you are somebody who wants to experience the massage and you don't have the money to get a massage all the time, and you already have a platform or the platform is over irritating to you, then definitely look into getting yourself a set of the Thrive or the Radiant boots, or getting yourself a pair of the Axis boots. The Axis boots are my favorite because I like to feel it all the way up here to my thigh, and I like to be fully enclosed with the zip. So these are inflating right now. And again, everything is handheld right here wirelessly with the control panel. This charges in a couple of hours, and you can use it for several treatments. So it's a really, really cool device. It's actually one of the first compression pneumatic devices that we came out with, and it came out during the pandemic. We came out with, again, 3 different pairs, and then as Joel and Abe are continuing to enhance and innovate and improve their products, they came out with a whole nother series of them a few months back. So great, great product, very economical product. You can usually get these right at $100 a set. And then the Axis boots are usually around $450, $500 a set. And if you can find them in stock, they've been sold out for quite some time. I bought several sets because we use them every single day in my facility. But really, really great product. So this is the simplified version of the Axis boots. The Axis boots zip, um, and again, these are much easier to carry around and travel with. So if you don't do well in the car riding for long periods of time, you can put these on in the car because you don't have to have a connection. You don't have to have an electrical power let in order to use them. Okay. Um, Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch. I'm so sorry, Stephanie. That just does not sound fun. Okay. Last but not least, this is my favorite, favorite, favorite thing to do when I actually make time for myself. Being a mom and a business owner and working with a variety of different opportunities, I don't make as much time as I should for myself. But when I do, this is what I like to use. I definitely do not deter from my platform. So I'm on my Rumblex every single day, at least once a day. It is my go-to life-changing device. It gave me my life back back in 2018 after having a total hysterectomy. It kind of was the jump start to my life again. I'm gonna slide these on, and again, they zip. So you don't want to have these full of air when you make sure that they fit, okay? One size fits most. And I have had individuals as heavy as 400 pounds in these boots. We just have to modify how high they zip. And in those individuals, we have to turn certain chambers off so that they don't inflate in areas that they shouldn't in order to, maintain the quality of the boot. So they're in. We're going to plug one cable in. The other one has 2. We're going to plug the one cable in, and then we're going to turn on. This is my control panel. Again, it's cordless, wireless, if you will. And we're going to turn it on. And we have 4 different massage modes, preset modes. What I always recommend for people when you're using these is if you can recline back. Ooh, using a little bit of muscle to do that today. If you can recline back even ever so slightly, these feel so much better if you can recline and enjoy them that way. And so I've just started. We have several different levels of pressure, and it's measured in millimeters of mercury, which is very similar to blood pressure. So you have the ability, if you have diabetes, if you have peripheral neuropathy, compromised circulation. I have a lot of diabetics and a lot of individuals with neuropathy who use these boots, and it is life changing. Um, I don't know how many pairs of these boots I have sold, but between working with athletes of all levels, from amateur to professional athletes, and working with individuals who stand on concrete all day long in steel toes, as well as individuals who can't move very much, if at all, because of morbid obesity or diabetic neuropathy, not being able to feel, they're in pain just sitting. And so a lot of those individuals spend a lot of hours in these boots because you can actually plug this into the wall and continue to run it nonstop. So they feel absolutely amazing. We have 4 different chambers, and it works all the way from the foot, working its way up. And it just depends on the 4 different programs. Some of the chambers air up in order. Some of them with the program, they air up all at the same time and release all at the same time. There's several different uh, ways in which the chambers cycle through so that you're working a different type of pump in getting circulation in and out of the leg, and working on truly working from those who have clotting challenges or circulatory challenges. We're increasing blood flow, we're increasing oxygen, and we are increasing dopamine response because of that circulatory response. And so we're decreasing pain instantly. So great, great product. You can use it as little as 5 minutes and as long as an hour and a half. So, and you have complete control over the control panel, super easy to use. And whew, I think this is amazing. So I'm going to have them post a link. If you're interested in ordering any of these products, you can go to lifeprofitness.com and have access to all of these products through our website. Some of these products may or may not be available on Amazon. And if you buy them through the LifePro Fitness website, if you type in the code Amber10, all one word, all caps, or however it comes out, but Amber10, it'll give you an extra little discount, and you'll get rock bottom prices using the link provided. So I hope that that answers a lot of your questions, gives you a medical, clinical, evidence-based background as to why I promote the products with LifePro that I promote, because I am a medical professional and I do specialize in pain management as well as rehabilitation, a lot of autoimmune challenges, trauma cases. My niche is instant pain relief. And so I wanted to make sure that as their, spokesmodel, that I'm not just telling you this because they're, suggesting, certain things, but I'm telling you this because I use these products every single day with my clients, and we are seeing results instantly in one session. So you don't have to wait for results. You don't have to go several times to a physical therapist or a massage therapist or a doctor or take several pills in order to start feeling changes. You'll feel changes immediately. So, invest in yourself, invest in your relief, and invest in the quality of your life. But more importantly, improving your sleep quality enhances everything metabolically in your entire body. So, making sure that you're getting good sleep, making sure that nutrition is in check. If you're eating a lot of sugar, if you're eating and drinking a lot of caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine, it's going to inflame and increase your symptoms. So you're not helping yourself by doing that. So I just want to throw that out there. If you have iron deficiency, get yourself on an iron supplement or get some iron infusions. And if you're not taking magnesium, zinc, or vitamin D, I think the entire country is vitamin D deficient on some level. But if you can look into those supplements, those will also help with how the brain communicates to all of our nerves and how our circulatory and how our body heals with whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's exercise, massage, yoga. Yoga has proven to decrease symptoms with restless leg syndrome. There's just so many different things. And one last thing, red light therapy, and I didn't have the red light therapy and the near infrared device available out here to show you, but there are several studies that also prove that the near infrared light and the red light therapy does enhance, the recovery and reduces inflammation and improves overall symptoms of restless leg syndrome. Because again, red light therapy and near infrared lighting stimulates stem cell production and reduces oxidative stress, which takes more pressure off of those tissues. So many great products from LifePro to help you feel at your absolute best and to eliminate or minimize your restless leg syndrome symptoms without having to take a pill. So I wish you all the best for tonight at rest. And if you have questions or need help on what device might be most beneficial for you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We do have an email line, support@lifeprofitness.com. You can reach me directly through Messenger. It's Amber Kivett. And if you already not following Lifepro on the different media platforms, especially the Facebook VIP group. There is a tremendous amount of information there at your fingertips for free. So definitely look into that website if you can. And I'll look forward to visiting with you again very soon. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And here is to living your best version of yourself.